ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestle podcast. I'm your host, Aeron. As you know, now the absolutely scintillating guest that you may have noticed in the other window is none other than Heidi Katrina. You already know that. She's a worldwide superstar with good reason. Heidi, welcome to the Wrestle podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
First of all, how are things going, pandemic-wise? Obviously, not being able to train or work at different venues and things like that. How have you coped with the idea of spending a year essentially not having the correct routine in wrestling?
Oh my God, it's just mad, isn't it? It's like you have this like career and this life, and then suddenly you're like, you transport to another realm. That's what it feels like, really. I'm coping all right. Like, you kind of get used to it, don't you? Like, just being like on the road constantly to then just suddenly like not being on the road. It's like, what? It kind of makes you like, it puts a lot of things in perspective.
Yeah, fitness wise, I can imagine as well, because for those who live under a rock, you are a specimen, basically. You're some people liken you. Some people liken you to like an Amazon, an Amazonian woman. I'm not sure whether that's a flattering term or not, but either way, you are jacked to the gills, mate, looking fantastic, you know. And obviously, I wouldn't say that's part of your gimmick per se, because, you know, wrestling is all about perception and everything that people look at you as. But has it been difficult to keep that fitness level going? Has it been difficult to keep that, you know, the body in tune the way you would like it to be during the pandemic? Or have you found it easy being able to work out from home? Because you're obviously very clued up about nutrition and things like that.
God, honestly, it's just been, you really just, I'm never going to take the gym for granted ever again. Like, you know, these like sort of garage home workouts, they're a vibe once you get going, but oh my God, at first I was like, yeah, this is not really the one, is it? Like, do you know what I mean? Just getting all like revved up to go to the gym and going to the conservatory, like, yeah, let's do it. You know, but what can you do? Like, I found it quite humbling, actually. Yeah, because like, especially when it was like the sun, like summer, it was lovely, like, you know, the garden. It wasn't too bad outdoors. But I've literally been training like a maniac through snow, through winter, like outside in my garage, like when I've been home. And it's just like, it just kind of makes you feel like quite rustic, you know, like I kind of feel like Rocky or something, like back in the day when you'd get like old school about training. But I really am looking forward to the gyms opening. I can't lie. Just want my sanity back, really.
Yeah, we're days away from the gym, and I'm chomping. I'm not a good home workout guy.
You're up for it?
Yeah, no, you won't see. I'd like to be able to, you know, stick the old log over my shoulders and start doing lunges and things. But I like having the machines to do it for me. I'm lazy like that. I'm like, machine, help me out here, please. I'm too.
Help me, I'm stuck.
Yeah, basically. So normally I go for a more conversation style. You'll know we've chatted briefly beforehand and stuff like that. But something obviously I do want to get into, because, you know, a lot of our listeners are based abroad in wild places like Peru and things like that, which is really cool. Awesome. So as far as you and wrestling goes, when's the first time where you step into wrestling? Obviously, I could ask you boring questions. Where did you train? Who's your favorite wrestler? Sorry, no offense. Yeah, no, I just find it shit a bit boring, if I'm being honest, mate. Because ultimately you want to talk about something a bit more refreshing. But wrestling is obviously something you're really, really good at, and you must have had a passion for it coming into things. What really sort of spurred you on and really lit a fire in you to become a wrestler?
It was kind of like niggling in my ear, like when I was like, just like, I guess since I first saw it, like as a child, and then, you know, you do the whole thing where you kind of like go off it, and then I ended up like getting back into it when I was at university. And like, I went to see, my friend liked it, like one of the students in uni, he liked it as well, and he was like, do you want to go like see it live? And I was like, yeah, it would be like really nostalgic. Why not? And so we went to like Raw, I think, like it was like 2011 or something like that. And I was still in uni, and I was like in my last year. And I was like, I must have been about 20, I had 21 at the time. And I'd kind of always like had this weird connection to wrestling. Like it was in the back of my mind type thing. Like, oh, I'm kind of big, maybe I should do it, right? I love athletics. I love like sports and like I'm an athlete, maybe I should do it. So it was like niggling away, and then everyone in my class would always be like, "Oh, Heidi, you gonna do wrestling? When are you gonna do it?" I'm like, guys, when I'm ready, I'll do it. And then I went to see it live, and when I was in the second row, I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, maybe now's the time to do this." I just felt like I should be on the other side. It was a really weird feeling. Like I was like, I'm on the wrong side of the barrier. Like maybe I really need to do this. Like it's just, it's like this feeling. And then the day after, like I researched rest physicals, and then the rest was history, I guess.
Yeah, all of a sudden you find yourself skyrocketed, working for different promotions. Obviously, when you out to you're very striking. There's an amazing appearance about you, which obviously stands out over a lot of different talent. And as you know better than anyone else in wrestling, you got to be able to stand out. Otherwise, people aren't going to be. They're just not going to book you. I don't want to kind of launch over too much, but in terms of training and things like that, how was the initial impact for you? Because obviously you're athletic. You don't just, you clearly weren't somebody who rocked up at training who was about 350 pounds and then thought, oh, I might slim down and work my way towards this incredible physique that I have. You've obviously, like you mentioned, you've always been an athlete. Did you find it easier in terms of conditioning and things like that when you first started because of your incredible physique and shape that you're already in?
Thank you. It was definitely not an overnight thing, and still a lot to work on. But with the physicality of wrestling, it kind of I was kind of like a duck to water, I guess. Like because I've been doing like karate from an early age and like slamming people, kicking people on the wooden floor when I was like a child, and then as I progressed through the years, I was always involved in sports and combat and things like that growing up. And then so when I first started training, I was like, literally the first day it changed my life, because it kind of just felt like, oh, okay, I like this feeling. I feel alive. I can kind of be a martial artist in my own way, and I can extract different forms and kind of make that into my own like little wrestling bubble. So that's kind of, I'd say it felt kind of like natural at first. I'm not going to say that I was particularly great at the first training session, but I had like a little bit of like knowledge about sports and rough and tumbling and jumping around and things like that. I was quite good at sports in school for athletics, so I kind of got familiar with like jumping about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's
doing silly things.
I just like the idea. It's like wrestling. It's jumping about. It's kind of what it is.
Jumping about in pain, but it's enjoyable. Pain.
Very violent jumping around.
I'm just a weirdo. That's what it is.
Yeah, you have to be a bit weird to be a wrestler.
Really do.
Yeah, definitely. I've met many weirdos in my time. That's for sure.
That's where they all congregate.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because it's true.
The thing that really excites me about you is you work in Japan quite a bit, don't you? And obviously that's they obviously wrestle like we do, but they have a much more serious and much more physical edge to them a lot of the time, which probably was something that was very beneficial to you. How was it, the first adjustment when you started working in Japan as opposed to working in Britain? Is there a big leap in terms of styles? Because I imagine the culture's a big kind of clash at first, but obviously you're very popular out there as well.
Thank you. Well, I say this all the time on interviews, and I've got to say it again. Like when you first get that booking in Japan and you get brought over, you literally better forget everything you know about the rest of the world, because the same rules do not apply there. Like within wrestling, within life. But I love that. I love a challenge. I love being dropped in the deep end. But yeah, when I got there, everything, you just feel like everything, and it's a lot. I particularly am a big fan of getting stuck in, and I really do like strong style. And especially when I was training in Britain, when I first started training, like Robbie Brookside, we would train on the floor, like the Olympic floor. Like when I was training down in London, like it was all floor-based movements and mechanics, and until you earn the right to get in the ring. And so I really disliked that forceful, strong style from the get-go, really. And then I just got I absolutely like flourished in it in Japan because that's what it's all about, the strong style. But I'd say like in terms of styles, the British and the Japanese have a very similar connection with how they work, but also I just think they just really gel. Like I definitely have extracted a lot of Japanese from my early British style that I learned and kind of like meshed it together.
Yeah, Japan is. I personally like Japan. I like wrestling where people lay their shit in. I'm not really one who's like. Don't get me wrong. I don't want you to actually murder someone, but at the same time, I like it to feel real. I'm a miserable old man. I'm just like, it just doesn't look real enough for me. Like, it's whatever.
It is real, all of it. We're fighting. We're killing each other.
Well, that's the thing. And like, obviously, watching your matches and the way that the physicality, I was like, that's some good shit. We like that. We like that here at the Wrestle Plug. We appreciate that. How physical is it in terms of, so people talk about strong style in obviously Japanese wrestling. That's they're the buzzwords, aren't they? But there is something real about that culture of strong style, real about making sure that your opponents can feel what you're doing. Yeah. You obviously mentioned there's a lot of similarities. Do you think that it takes it even further than what the European stuff does? Because Europeans are very well regarded for being tough wrestlers, but what's the Japanese style like? How was strong style first for you? Is it something that you just immediately were like, cool, I can really lay my shit in immediately? Or is there kind of like a proving ground where you have to kind of feel the process out?
Well, it kind of works both ways. Like I like feeling, I like fighting my opponents, like my opponents fighting me, and I like feeling it. But we're in Japan, like it just kind of feels like you are fighting for the food on your table. You really are. Like these girls, they're fighting for their life. Like they left school, they dropped out of school, and they don't have anything but wrestling. And that's very prominent. And there's like that energy is very much alive in them, like you can feel it, and that's kind of why I love it there, because I also feel like that myself, like I'm fighting for something. I don't know what it is, like for all the troubles I've ever been through, stuff like that, like you just feel it. It's like they say in Japan, they say fighting spirit. It really is fighting spirit. Sorry, I can't talk today but you know why. I guess with the styles, I'd say in Britain it's very strong style, but they're completely different. Like the Japanese style is just it's hard hitting, but also it's just you just can't describe it. But very much like I said, like that fighting spirit. Like it's like we are really fighting until the death. Like it does feel like Mortal Kombat there.
Oh, I love a Mortal Kombat reference.
You're like. Ding!
Yeah, pretty much. That's don't get me wrong, don't be fooled by my size. I'm still a nerd.
Same.
Yeah, I love me some Mortal Kombat, innit? As far as culture, taking it away from wrestling for a moment, when you first get to Japan, what was it like? Because it's a very different culture, very different society, very unique outlook compared to what our lives are like. We think that we're stiff upper lip and we're British and all that, but at the same time, like they have a very different outlook on how life should be led. Did you find it very easy to adapt when you got to Japan?
Yeah, honestly, I did. I guess they say that us English are kind of reserved and we're kind of like about ourselves, and I feel like that really meshed well with my experience when I first got to Japan, because I was kind of British and we were kind of reserved but very respectful. And I guess I have some manners that I have learned in my life, so I think that really did help. I'm kind of, if I don't say so myself, I do think respect is number one. So I think that was kind of something that I've always been quite passionate about, because I've worked in all different types of cultures before and I've met all different types of people before. So like slightly going off, but when I used to work at the British Museum when I was in uni, I obviously met all types of tourists and people, and there was one particular gallery that I worked in, and it was the Japan gallery, and I was just absolutely mesmerized by it, and I always wanted to work in that gallery and that gallery room. And when I got to Japan, I was like, yeah, it just feels like home, and I kind of just meshed in really well. I guess I kind of prepped for it mentally without realizing, subconsciously.
That's cool. That's cool because, like, obviously, there's kind of like a thing when you're a wrestler of once you get, be able to tick Japan off the bucket list. That's like a big achievement. And they say that you always become a much better wrestler working in Japan. And like you say, forget everything you know, get out there and find something to do. How was the calling of the matches? Because I know that in Japan they pride themselves on, learning all of the words and things like that associated with wrestling. They speak beautiful English as well. Every time I go abroad, I'm always amazed. I'm very lucky. I've traveled all over the world, some things for wrestling, some things for other work and things like that. And I'm just amazed by how fluent people are in terms of how they can speak our language. Was there any kind of hurdles or any difficulties in Japan? Was there anything where you thought, oh shit, that's something I'm going to have to start from scratch with?
Well, actually, I'm quite lucky because when I first got there, I had some really cool girls there that were already there, and they kind of gave me like some pointers, like, oh, when you go in, like, don't put your bag wherever, what sort of wait until you're told, etc., things like that. And I'm really thankful that, shout out to Cat Power, thanks for that. I really appreciate like being prepped about things from other girls like before you get there. It just kind of makes you feel like you want to do the right thing because your first impressions are very important. So I guess the language, I actually knew a couple words before I went, and I actually sort of taught myself Japanese when I was over there. And I'd learned some Japanese from a video game I was playing over the years. So I guess I was kind of used to it. But I just kind of would like listen to people and write down like what they were saying and the pronunciation. And I would just, loads of the Sendai girls could probably just vouch for this. But I had like on my phone like these notes of like, what was that? Yeah, okay, like, and I was just like really, really just dived in to like learning the language just so I could like just communicate the best I could do really when I was there. And so it kind of just worked out, like when we were wrestling, like just moving around, I'd never really had a problem. And there's a language also that we speak called that the Yoshi wrestlers have like called Japanglish, which is like a mix of the two. So
wow, I look forward to sampling that personally. Always terrified if I ever get a booking in Japan. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, I'm gonna die.
Like Heidi told me Japanglish, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be like, Heidi Katrina, help me out here.
Yeah, don't worry. That's what the Joshi girls told me. They were like, Heidi, don't worry, Japanglish or anything. I was like, no, I'm gonna learn Japanese. How's that?
I love the women's Japanese style. I feel that Japanese, like you say, you can very much tell that it is everything to them and you're fighting to put food on your table. It's a survival instinct, so much more out there, even more so than it is over here. How are you with intergender wrestling? What do you think about the whole thing? Because people have such, I'm very lucky. I've got to interview some really big names in the sport and I've got to chat to so many different people and everyone's got a different opinion. But I'm always curious as to what a woman's wrestler thinks about it, especially in your position where it's very evident that you could kick the living shit out of most men as well.
You know what? Like, I guess I have like a different opinion on it because obviously as a taller, bigger kind of girl, I always kind of used to get kind of put into intergender matches. Like that's just how it worked out. Like everybody wanted me to beat up some guy, like some little guy. And I guess I get it, but for me, like I don't really mind. I kind of like to view it as I understand that it's very popular now, and that's fine. Like I kind of see it as when you're playing like a video game. And you're choosing like Scorpion or something. Scorpion versus Sonya, It doesn't make a difference. Everybody arrived prepared for battle. Everybody has the skill of a martial artist to fight. So whether you want to be Scorpion or whether you want to be Sonya, it doesn't really matter. The skill set is still the same. And that's kind of how I like to view that intergender kind of section in wrestling, really. And obviously when I was like first in Japan, and then as I was like wrestling over the years there, I was in DDT, and obviously I did a whole bunch of like mixed like intergender stuff, which was super fun. Like you know, as long as it's like light-hearted and cool, you know, or you know, as long as it makes sense. But I guess with me, because I'm slightly bigger, I guess, than your average girl, I kind of think I guess it makes more sense sometimes that I get put into those situations. But they're fun. It's all in a day's work. Do you know what I mean?
What's the culture like at DDT? Because it has a reputation for being
Mad.
I've watched some crazy shit. Like I love, you know, Chris.
Madder than a box of frogs, honestly.
I've seen elephants and swimming pools, and I'm like, what the fuck? Wow.
Oh God, I can't tell you how fun being backstage on a DDT show used to be. It was just absolutely just chaos. It was so funny. Things would just make me laugh. Like I'd just come out like in my gear, just like, and I'd be like trying to get a drink from the vending machine, and there's like some parrot like head guy talking to this baby, and they're like, "You right? You good, Heidi son?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. I just want to get some water. I don't want to like disrupt anything." Like it was just wild. Like it was so much fun. But yeah, everybody was super cool. Like when I had the match, it was just fun. Like I don't know if you have a chance, you can check them out. But there's probably a couple matches on YouTube of like the Korakuen Hall ones. It was just funny. I love it there.
I was curious because some wrestlers take it very seriously and they think that DDT is mocking the art, but actually, you know, Chris Brooks is one of the best wrestlers I've ever known, and he's now made his home there, so can't be all bad. And not also, who doesn't want to spend time playing football with an elephant? I mean, works for me. Works for me. Rather quickly, I did hear you mention Mortal Kombat a couple of times at this point, so I feel like we're bonding in terms of Mortal Kombat, which is good because obviously Sub-Zero is my boy, but also Reptile. I don't know why I've always been a big fan of Reptile.
Yeah, fair play.
Would you like to play Sonya Blade if you had the opportunity? You look like you're ready made to be in the Mortal Kombat films.
Thank you. Can I be honest with you? I actually would prefer to be Cammy from Street Fighter. She's badass.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're well
she
overdue.
Was like my idol.
Remake. Where's my Street Fighter remake? Like Kylie Minogue was great, but I want a more modern one, mate.
Oh God, please. Honestly, I can't. I've got every single like rubbish Mortal Kombat like budget bloody DVD VHS video, right? And I used to like sit there like this, like 15 or however old I was, like, wow, that's so cool. Now look, I'm like, nah, mate.
Cammy would suit you perfectly, actually.
Please take over. Somebody remake these films. Like, stop remaking good stuff. Leave that alone, i.e. Jurassic Park, leave it alone. Yeah, remake stuff that needs your help, like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Again, god damn it. Anyway, I said my face.
Are you one of those people who was like a buff for like terrible martial artists, like as a kid? Like, because I got into martial arts really young. I was obsessed with Jean-Claude Van Damme when I was like 10.
He's the man.
Yeah, I was like, I still think he's amazing now.
Bloodsport.
Yeah, I've watched Bloodsport about, I want to hazard a guess at around 300 times. Like, it's unhealthy.
Oh, God, love it.
I love Bolo Yeung. I think he's like the perfect villain of all time. I'm just like, that's like my dream
like my study material.
Yeah.
for wrestling.
How long did you do martial arts for? Because you mentioned karate and stuff like that. Is that something that you still practice?
Yeah, so I did karate when I was younger, and then when I got kind of into wrestling, around the same time I kind of started doing MMA as well on a Sunday, which was epic. But I actually started. It was really funny because my teacher, I was kind of training, doing shoot wrestling, doing amateur wrestling. I did MMA, and my teacher was like, "Yeah, so Heidi, we'll put you in a fight straight away." I'm like, "Yeah, but you know, money maker. Like, I love fighting, and I really love MMA. It's awesome. Like, I love getting stuck in, but you know, I've got to remember that I'm also going to be a pro wrestler. Trying to be a pro wrestler, I need to be careful with the face." And I said to the guy, I was like, my trainer was like, "Is there any chance I can have like some sort of protective gear? Because I don't want to get my face all mashed up like when I'm doing a wrestling show, you know?" And he was like, "Nah." So I was like, got to make a choice, haven't I? Is it MMA? Or is it pro wrestling? And it was just really like, I just really got that buzz from, especially like I would do like hours at a time on the bag in the corner, just getting like, I would just be elbowing it, doing roundhouse until my elbows were like busted up, like bleeding. And I was like, I blame Bloodsport for that. Do you know what I mean?
Sick. Very sick. Yeah, I still dream that
That's
one
my
day.
vibes.
I still dream that one day I'll be Paco. Like when I was tiny, I was like, oh, cool. Somebody who's like, because I'm mixed race, and I saw him, and I was like, oh, cool, an Arab fighter. Like, that's sick. Like, so he was like my idol growing up, along with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Obviously, I'm not sure if there's a weird man crush going on there that I'm just not aware of, but
it's fine. I've got a girl crush on Lara Croft. Like, she was my girl growing up. Like, she's the best.
Have you played the new Tomb Raider games?
Yeah.
Not
really too happy. I'm a massive Tomb Raider Lara Croft fan. Like, I used to be a bloody lookalike for her. Like, I'm obsessed. So like, I'm kind of a little bit disappointed about the new games, because I feel like they're just going in the other direction. Like, they're straying from what I love, like, and what I remember Lara to be. Like, she didn't need all that stuff. She didn't need all those. I just feel like they're going a little bit off track. And I think it's all because Eidos left and Core left, and then someone else took them over. So I don't know. I'd hope it would just go back to like the turquoise boob tube and the shorts and the pistols, and that's all she needs, And she was 5'9". I was like, oh my god, it's just like me,
Yeah, no, I was just curious, because like, they're brilliant games, but then they've also strayed to a more darker sense of storytelling, haven't they? They've gone away from
they're fun, but come on, like, you don't need all that. What's caves? Just caves and running around and bears. Like, that's all you need.
Yeah, I still get shit up. I still remember playing it on PS1 and getting shit up by that giant spider, and I'm like, nah, that's all right.
Oh my god.
Can't be doing
I love it. The dinosaurs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the other thing as well. I was like, what the fuck? I keep forgetting.
It's scary, even though they were like pixelated blocks. It was terrifying.
It was actually, yeah. Nowadays, like, it shows how fucking old I am, because I'm whinging about like how the state of the new ones with you, and it's like, we're spoiled now in the way video games. You said Cammy, you said, Sonya and things like that. Who is very much the ultimate icon for you in terms of, female empowerment and strength? In terms of, it could be someone who's like a fictional character, or even someone in wrestling. Is there anyone in particular that you look up to and draw a lot of strength
female?
Just
female or male? Okay, well, two of my inspirations are actually video game characters. So one I just touched on, which is Lara Croft. She is my idol. Like, she was an idol of mine when I was growing up, and she still very much is. Like, everything she stands for as a female archaeologist, and everything she does as a woman, like power, I love it. My other inspiration is Ryo Hazuki. I'm sure a lot of my fans know that, because I'm obsessed with Shenmue. And Shenmue is a game, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it was a Japanese game on Sega Dreamcast, like back in the day. And I just really loved the story of Ryo, and how he was a karate boy, and one day, his father got murdered by this martial artist, and he was just on this revenge trail at just 18 years old. And he was so powerful, so strong. And what I observed from him, that I observed when I was a kid, and that I've just kind of like trickled into adult life, was that even though no matter what this guy Ryo, this boy, has gone through, he still was so pleasant. The way he talked, he was so pleasant. He always helped people. He always he was just so caring still, even though inside he was fighting this horrible battle. And I really studied that, and I was like, that's an idol to me, like someone who can be such a powerful, deadly martial artist, but have so much respect and just humbleness about him. And those characters combined is kind of what I kind of look up to, if that makes sense.
Is the like your ring gear and stuff like that, would you say you've drawn inspiration from that as well, in terms of the way you present yourself in wrestling?
All my ring gear and my outfits are actually all designed by me. So I kind of draw it myself. And because I used to draw a lot of sort of Amazonian women when I was younger. I would draw them and study them, because I was just so blown away by that kind of statuesque, strong, women's empowerment kind of figure. And then I kind of realized that over the years I kind of made myself into my illustrations, with my gear and my physical appearance. I've just kind of sculpted out my drawings, because I just kind of want to be the emblem of strength for my I guess, for my inner child, if that makes sense.
There's a
a bit deep there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's fair
Love
enough.
it.
There's very much a stereotype with Japanese women's wrestling that they're either monsters like Aya Kong, or they're, you know, the pretty ditty little things that people want to, you know, stupid things that people want to think and assume, like Riho and, you know, women of that nature. Even Hikaru Shida, who, although being amazing, is also, you know, more on the slighter side of things. How did they take to you when you arrived? Because, like I say, you know, tank, mate, like, you know, proper tough, you know, incredible, imposing physique. Like, was there very much a case of like, very nice, like somebody that we can really test the waters with, or like, you know, because I doubt Japanese wrestlers get that intimidated. To be fair.
I've had a whole bunch of matches from Sheena. She's awesome. Yeah, gosh, we used to, all of us, Nyla Rose, we used to all wrestle like every week, like a couple times a week. It was awesome. Like traveling in that little tiny bus, like loved it. But yeah, Hannah was there too, bless her. Yeah, I guess I just kind of like evolved really when I first got there. I was just kind of taking it bit by bit, but I guess I kind of just fit in. And I guess the Japanese Joshi girls, they kind of just saw me as this climbing frame. They were like, ooh, you know, we can do like, you know, let's, you know, and I loved it because I could like throw them around and things like that. And I guess that's how it was really. That was the dynamic. It was just like, I was just a big climbing frame and we could really just push the boundaries of like our athleticism together, you know, because of my size and because their size. And I've got a massive lot of respect for those girls, because people just, they judge them. They're like, oh, what can you do? You can blow her over if you want to. Like, you don't understand that when you're not there, that girl is on her knuckles doing like 1,000 bloody push-ups. You know, so you can't judge a book by its cover, honestly.
Yeah, that's quite refreshing. Like, even right now, I feel like I'm learning more about it, because, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. Like, there are times where I see someone like, I love Riho's work. I was very lucky. I went to the first Dynamite, and I remember her and Nyla Rose for me had the best match of the night. Like, and it's not me blowing smoke. I just generally think a lot of times the women actually do have better matches, and we're just so enamored with the idea.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like, Cody Rhodes is a beautiful man. I could stare at him all day. But, you know, at the same time, I
love working with Nyla.
I love Nyla Rose. I adore her.
Yeah.
I champion her on this podcast a lot. Those women obviously are working in
That's
AEW
awesome.
right now, and obviously they just had the Japanese bracket as well. I imagine you would love to have been a part of that. Do you feel like that's something that hopefully you can, you know, attain later down the line, or are you happy in your current scenario?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think everything just, I had so many things in the pipeline, so many like exciting things coming up, and just like I basically like to plan things out in my head, like, you know, I'll do that and then this and then this, and then I'll take that person up on that, and I think that literally just all got like derailed because of this pandemic. And not only that, I actually got a really big injury doing a charity show for my friend just before the pandemic. Like, the timing I'm kind of thankful for, but I actually broke like a couple bones in my foot, and I was still trying to wrestle, and I was on OVW, and then bless him, Chad was like, come on, Heidi, like, I know you really want to train and you really want to, but you can't walk, so let's take you to hospital, you know. And I literally had to get pulled off because I was like, no, I still want to fight, guys, I still want to wrestle, like, you know. And then I kind of was out for a bit with that, even though I was still trying to wrestle with one leg. But I was like, okay, you can't, Heidi, take some time out. And then I kind of had myself in a cast, and this virus came about, and then I had to go here, and then it got cancelled, then it got moved. And so I don't really, I'm just happy to, when this is over with, and I can just go back to like flying, and I can go back to being a butterfly and just wherever that will take me. But I would absolutely love to get in the ring with those girls again, because I miss our times in Japan, all of us, and I absolutely love their fighting spirit, and just, I can't tell you, we had some really, really good times over there, and a lot more to come.
Would you like to live in Japan eventually?
and well, I lived there for 4 years.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've lived in 4 different prefectures: Chiba, Tokyo, Sendai, and yeah. So I've already kind of lived there, and I loved it there, and it's like another world. But I definitely would love to go back there and live there, I guess. But where I am right now, I'm just kind of moving around once we're able to, and I'm just kind of testing out the waters everywhere. But Japan is always my home, and it's always my beacon. Like I always kind of, I have to go back and see my fans and see everybody. I don't know, my heart's in Japan, you know.
That's kind of sweet. Yeah, no, I am.
And England, obviously, well, family, friends, all that. But you know.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the English though don't care. So all the English fans are watching this thinking, "Yeah, England's rubbish, don't worry about it." Like, even if it's the best place on earth, we've got to kind of be miserable about it because we're British, innit? So I was like, yeah, whatever, fucking hate Britain.
Fine. I know, isn't it funny when you go abroad and people are like, "Oh, England's amazing." I'm like, "Yeah, it's great." Yeah. I don't live there, but it's cool. No, but I used to I've done I've done my stuff in England. Yeah. Like I don't mind. I honestly, I still work in Europe. Like I still, when I'm back home, I work for Eve. I work like at different places, and I'm in Finland as well. Like, you know, things like that. I don't mind. But for me, I guess I've always kind of I just like being on the move, like traveling, like seeing new things, seeing new challenges, like stepping on new ground, like just things like that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Actually, you've pretty much answered the question for me. Like the nomad mentality of being a wrestler, like that's what drew me into wrestling. And to be honest, life in general, I love culture. I love, you know, growing up in a very different foreign household for me was very cool because then I was like privy to English culture, but with different cultures in my own home and things of that nature. Definitely. So I really love that idea, and it's always really cool because I'm yet to meet a wrestler who genuinely is like, "Nah, I don't want to leave Britain, mate. I'm all right staying here." I've never met a wrestler who says that, and that's kind of part and parcel of the business.
Yeah, there's a big world out there, you know. Why not go and see it before it's too late? Like, I want to look back and I want to be like, yeah, I've done everything I wanted to do. Like, I lived my life to the fullest, you know.
Do you have anything on your bucket list?
Yeah, so many things. I believe it or not, out of all the 14 countries, I have yet, even though I became CMLL reigner champion, I still haven't had the opportunity to go to Mexico. So that is definitely, I know no one believes me when I tell them, but yeah, it was in the pipeline, then it got moved, and then it was just and then I had to go to America, then I had to go to Canada, and then it was Japan. It was always back to England. It was something always in the way. So I would like to get that ticked off at some point. That'd be really fun. Because I've done, I don't know if you saw it, but AAA were over in Crocken Hall, and I was on that show, and it was the World Cup, AAA series, and they'd come over for it, and I was obviously came out in my English flag, and it was just very patriotic, and I loved it, all the different countries. It was so cool. So I would have loved to have done that in Mexico as well. So yeah, never say never.
Yeah, I've kind of fallen over Mexican wrestling. That's my dream, is to work in Mexico. I love AAA, obsessed with it. And that's actually the first real sort of footage of you I saw was actually you working for that AAA kind of in conjunction with them in Corrigan Hall. Which, by the way, working in Corrigan Hall, which is for a lot of wrestlers, is kind of like a mecca in its own right. What's that like? That first time you step into a building of that nature with that kind of history?
Oh gosh, I've wrestled in Crocken Hall more times than I've probably caught a bus. Really, we were very, we were always on the move, Sendai Girls, and always I was obviously there for 4 years, and Crocken Hall is like the beacon. You're always wrestling there, and I was very lucky enough to wrestle in that vicinity loads of times. I can't of remember the first time because not only that, I would obviously go to watch other guys working too. I would always get invited to New Japan shows, things like that, or Noah, and think just everything like that. And so I was kind of always in Crocken Hall. And also when I lived in Tokyo, I lived by the Tokyo Dome City, so I was literally a couple minutes away, so I was always there. It's just, there's something so, like, I can't describe it. Like, so like, say I'm coming from a house, my suitcase, got a show, you just get like, you start to get to like the corner, and then you just feel this energy, this adrenaline, and you can feel it, and you can't even see like the hotel yet, but then you get closer, and you're like, and you feel that energy. And Crocken Hall just has this like pull, like it's just, and then you're waiting when you get up the elevator, and it's like, it's just so awesome. Like, and when you do a show there, it's just on another level. So like, yeah, it's just something very special about that place. It really pulls you in. I mean, think about all the history there, and just, oh God, all the blood, sweat and tears, all the passion.
Yeah, I'm spellbound by Japan as a whole, to be honest. Like,
Yes.
I love it. And I'm surrounded by so many people. Like, my friend Tanvir is a huge fan of Japanese culture and wrestling, and just watching it, like, I love pro wrestling Noah as well, and I really like All Japan as well. Joel Redman's one of my favorite kind of people. He's somebody that I've spoken to ad lib and ad nauseum about Japanese culture and wrestling.
Yes.
So I although terrified at the sheer idea of me actually work out
you
there.
would love it there. You would love it. Like, when you're up close, you just bang, and you can just see the sweat fly off. And like,
yes, I do love that.
I will let you know that when you go there, if you ever get invited, or you ever catch a hardcore show or a deathmatch show, I'm just going to let you know, do not sit in the front row. Okay? No. Yeah, I was like, I guess my friend took me there, and he was like, yeah, just going to grab a drink for us. Just sit there. Yeah, I'm like, awesome. And he was like, it was the first match, literally just glass, and I was like, wow. It's like a family with like their kids and stuff, and the kids are like, yeah, and I'm like, Japan,
yeah,
sheets of glass like everywhere. I'm like, is this fine? Like 2:00 in the afternoon? Like, okay, why not?
Yeah, seeing your own blood is an experience, but being covered in someone else's is something entirely different, I'd imagine.
Yes, it was pretty crazy, but I love it. What can you say?
What's your thoughts on death matches? Would you like to participate in them?
Do you know what? Like, I've been hit with various objects in my time, and one of the most brutal, I've got to say, was a black belt. I got absolutely caned by a black belt in a match in Shinjuku. Was it Shinjuku? It might have been Shinkiba first ring. I got absolutely annihilated, like, and I've been hit with boards. Like, Kaoru-san has hit me with seriously massive boards. I've had Asia Kong hitting me with like the trash can, but that black belt, oh my God, I felt that for years ahead. But honestly, like, hardcore matches, I love them. I think they're great. I think it adds like another dynamic to it, but I also like just kind of raw combat too. But like death matches, I never say never, but I have a massive respect for people that do it, and the women that do it. I think that's badass. But yeah, I wouldn't say never, but I kind of like I like kind of just getting like stuck in like fighting rather than like, but it's cool to watch. Definitely impressive.
It is very, yeah. Like, I've got a really weird, morbid curiosity with death matches. I'd love to do just one, like, because I don't mind getting boxed up.
I've got to tell you real quick. I just thought something really funny. I was at a show in Detroit, and Schlack was there, and there was this massive death match show, right? And our fan, like, in the locker room, didn't have anything. It was like propellers. It was like, and it looked like any minute it was going to fly off and like kill us, right? And all these guys, they're like, they're like, oh boy, are we going to die? And I'm like, you're gonna go out there and kill each other, like, what's going on? And I remember watching, like, I think it was so cool. Like, I watched their matches. I think I saw like Schlack was in there, and I just see this and this sea of just white glass mist and blood. I was just like, and like skin particles. I was like, that's pretty sick. Okay, fair play. And we're all just like watching at the locker room, like, oh my god, and the propeller, is it going to kill us? Like, you know, what do we look at? Mad chaos.
GCW, mate. GCW, they are a different. Schlack scares the fuck out of me. I'm like, most deathmatch guys.
That was a Horror Slam show, actually. It was called a company called Horror Slam, actually. I don't know if you're familiar with the Detroit kind of area. Some really sick wrestlers out there, though. Oh, I lived out there for a while. God,
oh, really?
bloody hell. Yeah.
Is there anywhere in particular where, like, obviously you mentioned Mexico, would you like to? I get the impression that wherever you go, you like to live there and take in the culture as well. I really respect that, because a lot of people 100%. Are very scared if they're like, you know, going out of their front door. Never mind anything else. Is Mexico kind of like the number one place to live and work now, or is there anywhere else far afield? Like, because obviously, I know you mentioned Finland, Denmark starting to really come through. They've got a great scene that's really starting to blossom. I just had
I loved it
on, so you know. Is there anywhere in particular you'd love to go that maybe is a little bit further afield, somewhere that you never thought you would be interested in?
I'd like to return to America and finish off kind of like what I kind of started, and Canada maybe too. But there's some other places that I've been invited to that I've never really been to, like places like Dubai and Egypt and things like that, and I guess India. I'd like to really drop myself into the deep end, because as actually, like you said, I really do appreciate other people's cultures, and I like to learn how their way of life is, and I like to kind of adapt to what I'm experiencing, and I just really respect that, and I really enjoy that process. And wherever it will take me, I just kind of, for me, I want to be dropped in the deep end, because I don't think anything else can get thrown at us after this bloody 1 year, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't even know what to call it anymore. Is it a virus? Is it like an apocalypse? But you know, I just want something where I like just a new challenge every time, because I think that's really how you advance as a human being and just become the best version of yourself, like as you keep adapting, you know, wherever you go.
Yeah, I can't really add much to that, to be honest. Like, that's just I love your vibe, I love your style. I'm really in awe of that, and I really respect that. So it's lovely to hear. As we work towards the end, I don't know if you've heard much of our content. We now have a thing called word association. I'll throw out a few wrestlers' names, and you feel free to give me a word to describe these wrestlers. Now,
this is fun.
Just in case for post edit, in case there's any names of people that maybe you don't like, I'll let me know after the
What a C-bomb.
No, you can swear as much as you like, but I mean, we'll see whether it comes back to you.
I mean, we're British.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think anyone's going to take you up on an offer for a fight anyway. They'd be like, oh, okay, Heidi Katrina doesn't like me. That's fine. I don't want to die anyway, so it's okay.
No.
I've got a list of amazing names here. I always ask our fans and our group chat as well for random names. So if there are a few random names in there, I apologise for that. But you're welcome to pass.
Oh, God, what's it going to be?
Pass if you want. One word to describe these people, but if you feel that you need to lay in some more.
Did you say that I could pass on it as well?
You can pass on them if you really need to. If you really need.
Okay.
So so just in case, I don't know if that means something entirely different in other countries. Just in case, because I know wrestling is a very political landscape. So
yes, right. You know how it is. You know how it is out there.
All right. Let's start with the nice ones.
Oh gosh.
Hikaru Shida.
Say it again, sorry.
Hikaru Shida.
Oh, awesome.
There you go. Simple as. See, it's not that terrifying, or at least it isn't yet.
What else can you say, really?
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. What is it like seeing her representing the entire women's division in AEW? So you must.
I just love it. Like it. Oh God, I can't. It just seems like yesterday that I was borrowing my she was borrowing my makeup works. Literally in the dressing room. Life just happens so quick, and I just love seeing what she's accomplished and what she's representing over there. Oh God, oh, you know, that passion, like, and that's what she was all about. She just really stuck in the fighting spirit, and such an honor and a pleasure to work with her in Japan. Like, she was just great to work with. She was like lovely to be around. Like all those girls, just they really just looked after you and they had your back, and they're the real deal. Like, they're tough, you know, and it shows definitely.
Ryo Mizunami.
Badass.
She seems really fun though, really cool. Like I love the energy. She's one of my personal favorites. Yeah.
She's got good personality.
Yeah, love the chain, the get up. She's a gangster.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm really
she is. She's kakoi, as we would say.
She's what, sorry?
She's something in Japan the girls told me, and we learned it's very important. It's called kakoi, which means cool. She's very kakoi.
I love this. It's like I'm getting like my own personal seminar and learning stuff. I love it. It's fantastic.
She's a massive geek, I told her.
I have no problem with that whatsoever. No problems at all. Iacon, or Arjacon, excuse me.
Phenomenal.
I asked somebody else who I won't name at the moment because the interview hasn't dropped, but they just said kaiju. Which I thought was no idea.
AJ-san, honest to God, she was just, I can't even put into words how respectful that woman is. Like, she was like, she would always take the time to talk to me, like, hi Heidi, how are you? How have you been? You know, and she was just, oh God, such an incredible woman, an incredible athlete, and such an honor and a pleasure to work with her. Like, it's just every time we wrestled so much over there. Like, it was so fun wrestling like in the matches, and we had like tag matches, crazy stuff like that. Like, she was just awesome, like really caring. Like, I felt like really protected, and she's just like mama bear over there too. Not just she's like this powerful force that you just can't mess with, but like just in awe of her, really, like how much she's respecting, how much respect she has for others. Like, she just always went out of her way to be polite to me and respectful, and would always in Japan there's this thing where like this is just me though, like I always will speak Japanese to my Japanese like fellow, you know, and she would always speak English to me, and it was just so respectful. And Satomura-san does the same, and that's why, you know, well, we'll go into Satomura-san later. Well, she's just literally changed my life, that woman. But like, it just shows you the level of respect and honor that these women have, you know, for their peers and for the other athletes. Like, oh, I can't say enough about it.
Well, you sport the next one, Meiko Satomura.
There is really no word to describe that lady, honestly. What she's done for me, what she's looked after me, like, she's done so much for me, Satomura-san. And I would say one word to describe her is just the ultimate. Like, literally, like, she's just, not only did she, like, I don't know if you know the backstory with me and her, but no. It's a lovely little story. So Satomura-san actually first like spotted me at a DDT show, and she was like, oh Heidi, you know, I started working for her shows like Sendai Girls, and yeah, we started doing matches and stuff. And I remember one day we had this meeting in a boardroom with like my manager and Satomura-san. She was at the end. I was like, oh God, what's going on? Like, oh no, well done. Like, you know, because I always want to do my best there, and like I'm really respectful. And she said to me, Heidi, I want you to be the first foreign member of my company, please. And I was like, I mean, is that a question? Like, please, yes. And then bless her, she was like, would you like to stay in your apartment in Tokyo? Would you like to move to Sendai and, you know, be in the dojo and train? I was like, that's not a question either. So I packed up all of my life in Tokyo and moved like 7 hours up to Sendai and started from scratch. And I was like, please show me the way, Satomura-san. Like, I'm very thankful that you would put so much like a trust in me, and like you just saw something in me that I didn't really see myself. and like you just have so much time for me, and like you want me to be the first foreign member of your company. Like it's such an honor. And we became very close from there. And Satomura-san has, not only is she an incredible wrestler and athlete, she is just an incredible lady, like a heart of gold. And she just has always looked after me, and she's honestly, I couldn't put it into words, but yeah, shout out to Satomura-san.
I'm thrilled to hear that, because I've been watching her for the best part of 20 years now.
Yeah.
I remember seeing her in WCW and being like, holy shit, like, you know, and I love her work. I'm still screaming about her match with Kaylee Ray. I wish people would watch her more and just appreciate how special she is. We gave her match with Killer Kelly match of the year on this podcast a couple of years ago. Like, I just love her work. I love it. I genuinely think she's one of the greatest to ever do it.
Definitely.
If not the greatest, just to be honest. So yourself not included, obviously. You know, you've still got plenty of time to become the GOAT. Don't worry. Yeah.
You should see the dynamic that Satomura-san has, like, just at shows, like people just the air, and you know, that feeling if Satomura-san's around, like you just feel safe, you just feel excited, and you know that like it's happening. Like it's just this really awesome feeling of like power, you know.
Is it safe to say that in Japan especially, but overall, women over men are a lot more respectful and look after each other a lot more? Like, I don't want to sort of draw, like, you know, gender dynamics or anything like that, but most of, you know, for instance, you've got such a lovely positive cadence, and you've spoken so kindly about so many amazing people, and I've not heard a single bad thing, which is lovely to hear. But you know, some guys come on and they're just like, yeah, so and so's a dick, and you know, stuff like that. And I just think, but whenever I speak to women's wrestlers, I think it's something that's always helped me gravitate towards women's wrestling as a culture more, is the level of respect and kindness, because that isn't always afforded across the board, especially in the world, never mind wrestling.
Well, honestly, it's never plain sailing. Like you know, we're not all just, oh yeah, airy fairy. Like we're still, women's wrestling in Japan is, there's more pressure on you as a girl than there is as men. And you know, if you don't do well, there's consequences, and that's very much spread across wrestling as a whole in Japan, for the guys and for the girls. And it's just like, for just naturally, women just, and the girls, we just have to work harder, and like there's so much stigma on there, and it's that's why all the girls over there are just so incredibly trained, like, because it really is like you're training for your life. And honestly, like, it's never plain sailing anywhere. Like, it hasn't been plain sailing for anybody, I guess. Like, sometimes you have good things, sometimes you have bad things, but I think with the guys and the girls, the main thing is they just want to be the best they can be, and that's really prominent, that feeling over there. Like, and it doesn't come into it like trying to like not look out for people and stuff. Like when I've seen backstage, I've seen the guys, like sometimes guys have, like, they don't always have things that go to plan, and I've seen like other boys just come in, you know, like, and I just love seeing that, because at the end of the day, you know, you get along, you don't get along, you get this, you get that, but ultimately we're all doing the same thing, and we should kind of see it, like, especially after what's happened and with the bloody pandemic and like all these things that have been going on. Like, remember what is important, and wrestling, and we're fighting, we're putting on a show for the fans. And I've never really seen any mistreatment with the guys over there. I think, like I said, it's just taken very seriously, like the sport. And people, like, whether you're a man, girl, whatever, animal, bloody Big Bird. I saw someone dressed as Big Bird.
Back to DDT.
Like, the plot is the same. The goal is the same. You just wrestle and you just be the best you can be. I think that's what I realized over there. Like, everyone just looks out for each other, you know. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I've been hitting the head a lot over there, so I can't really, by boards and whatnot. So wow. I can't speak for everybody, but from what I remember, yeah.
I think that's a really beautiful place to leave it, to be honest. I really like that. So I won't bother throwing any more names at you.
I'll put you on this little journey with my tales. I never shut up, do I?
No, I love it. I absolutely, I mean, I've always adored you, and I do even more so now. So thank you so much for the opportunity to chat, because I think that I don't know why, but I seem to be privy to a lot of different things, and a lot of people like the Wrestle plug because it's very honest and candid, and people can sound off however they like. But this has genuinely been one of the most positive and happy conversations I've had for a long time, and you know, we all have difficulties, myself included. So I'm very grateful for that. Before we let you go, though, obviously social media and things like that, you are obviously already very, very popular because. Obviously, you know, because legends, mate, legends.
I'm trying.
Getting there very slowly but surely. I have a feeling that one day people are going to talk about you in the same kind of manner as they do about some of the incredible people you've mentioned.
That's really nice. Thank you.
So I genuinely believe that your work rate and, you know, like, I just love the fact that you carry yourself with such professionalism. It's a real inspiration to people like me. So, and as I always say, there is something very, very cool about being empowered by women, whether you're a man or a woman. So ultimately, thank you for helping empower our scene as well, because I know it has been quite difficult. Social media wise, where can people find you so they can basically fawn over how amazing you are, like I have?
I'm just trying to keep my head above water. You know, it's hard out there, isn't it? Bloody hell. But yeah, so you can follow me on my Instagram, which is at Heidi Katrina with 2 A's, and my Twitter, which is at Heidi Katrina with 2 A's. And if you want to like buy some merch or see what I'm up to art-wise, you can check out my big cartel, which is Heidi Katrina, and Pro Wrestling Tees / Heidi Katrina. And also, you should probably check out the Sendai Girls schedule for upcoming stuff as well. And they might, you know, just got to put that out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Trust me, if you get the opportunity to pay money to see Heidi Katrina, ladies and gentlemen, you absolutely should do. And
thank you.
We're very blessed in Britain that it doesn't cost a great deal to go and get an amazing evening's entertainment as far as wrestling goes. So I highly recommend it. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you're a very busy woman. So thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.